Harry Potter spin-off Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them debuts this coming week, and there's only one adjective to describe the reviews so far. No, not fantastic, but perfect.
I disagree!
Hey there, nerds and nerdettes. Today's video is going to be a bit different, and I figured, well, I talk about something nerdy for once. I mean, hell, I'm the nerdy knight. The word nerd is literally in my name. Over Thanksgiving weekend, after eating myself senseless to the point of going into a food coma, me and my old man decided to go see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and so far all I can say, it has a resounding meh. The premise is there. You're exploring different facets of the Harry Potter universe. I get that. But as a movie, it didn't really click with me. I mean, it's lacking the magic that the first Harry Potter movies had. And people are saying like, oh, this movie's amazing. I wasn't really feeling it. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good as everyone said it is. I mean, the main character, whose name I completely forgot, so I'm just calling him Professor Britbong, didn't really have that much charisma. I mean, he was just sort of the guy who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He sort of gets caught up in this grand conspiracy within the magic community. I wanted to like this movie. I mean, from the trailers, I mean, this is about the wizarding world in the United States during the Prohibition era. I mean, fuck, they went so far as to do a whole scene with Ron Perlman as a speakeasy owner. I mean, illegal booze, black jazz singer, the whole shebang. That scene was perfect, and it just failed to nail the landing. None of the characters to me really stood out all that much. I mean, Colin Farrell's character was a typical, like, scheming head honcho type of guy. He wanted his war between the magical world and, like, the non-magic world, all that shit. And there was this kid who had, like, some magic powers, but he was, like, keeping it suppressed, so he sort of just goes all cutting on their asses by just fucking shit up. I mean, I didn't want to know that because the title of the movie is Fantastical Beasts and Where to Find Them. I wanted to see more of the shit that was in Professor Britbong's suitcase. That was neat, all the weird shit in there, like the little bug that was hiding in his pocket who would pick locks and shit. I wanted to see more of that, but the movie kept sidetracking itself to focus on this conspiracy that I did not give two shits about. What made the Harry Potter movies so great is that you knew who was who. You had Harry, the main protagonist, who was treated like shit by his foster family, which turns out they were just doing that to keep him from being murdered by Voldemort. And on that subject, we knew what Voldemort's motivation was. He wanted to wipe out the non-magical users, the muggles. We knew that this guy was pure evil. We wanted to see Harry kick his ass every time he encountered him in some way and form. Just, with Colin Farrell's character, it was like, okay, this guy's a scheming bureaucrat, but it didn't really make me want to kick his ass. It didn't make me want to root for Professor Britbong. I was just all like, can Professor Britbong please just catch a fucking break? I mean, sure, he was more than a competent magic user. I mean, the final fight was proof more of that, but oh god, I have so many complaints with this movie. First and foremost, it's a conspiracy movie. The plot kicks off when Professor Britbong goes to a bank and this little platypus-looking thing gets out of his magical briefcase where he has all the creatures living in there. I'll get back to that in a second. It manages to get out and start stealing shit in a bank. So he has to go snooping around the bank to the point where he has to use teleportation spells to follow this thing, and it ends up in a vault. And he drags along this fat dude, Joe. I'm not kidding, that's literally his name. And he sees him using his magic. So in the wizarding world, there's a rule. If a non-magic user sees you use magic, you gotta wipe their memory. But Fat Joe is like, no, fuck that shit. Picks up Professor Britbong's suitcase, clocks someone, and then leaves. Like, Joe was in that bank because he had to get a loan to start his own bakery, and he had an identical looking briefcase. So there is some confusion. One of the oldest tricks in the book, because how else are we going to get this fucking plot moving, am I right? Joe goes home, the briefcase gets opened by accident, and like 4 or 5 creatures get out and start running amok. But at the same time, there's this evil force running amok, and Colin Farrell's character is looking for a scapegoat, and he's also looking for the source of what's fucking shit up. Which brings me to this kid, whose name I also forgot. I really could care less about him. This non-magic user, or so we think, he's sort of like his inside man. He's looking for the source of this, whatever it is that's fucking things up, and he believes it's this little girl who's with this anti-magic user, like Doomsayer. This organization was to witchcraft and wizardry as to what the Temperance League was to alcohol pre-prohibition. He's using the fine hit. Professor Britbong's shit gets out of hand. He uses that as a cover to cover his own tracks. Like, shit goes down, stuff happens that I don't care about, and then we find out what's really going on. It's this dark, magical energy whose name that I completely forgot, and then all hell breaks loose because it turns out it was a kid. Not the little girl, but the kid that Colin Farrell was talking to had this dark energy in, and he was responsible for all that shit going down. So, in typical Harry Potter fashion, Professor Britbong tries to corner him after finding out Colin Farrell's plan, yada yada yada, and then it turns out that Colin Farrell wasn't exactly who he said he was. Turns out he was this radical mage that wanted his war with the non-human world. So essentially, I think that's where Voldemort got the idea for, we gotta kill the Muggles, Zeke Heil. Sorry about that. Professor Britbong tries his best, shit goes south. The organization that's in charge of keeping the magic community a secret in New York steps in, kills the thing, finds out who Colin Farrell really is. They lock his ass up. Joe gets his memory erased at the end, and that's it. As I said, I really can't remember much of the movie other than Ron Perlman was in there for 2 minutes as an owner of a speakeasy. That was probably the closest thing we are going to get to something legitimately good. Overall, this movie, I give it a 6? I don't know. Yeah, this review was pretty garbage. I should probably write a script for it next time. In all honesty, go see something better like Doctor Strange or Hacksaw Ridge. So, until next time, nerds and nerdettes, stay nerdy.